Hey everyone, Ashley May and Mike Beer here with the Daily Racing Forum. The feature race this Saturday down in Hot Springs, Arkansas at Oaklawn Park is their 10th of 11 races on the program, the Grade 3 Whitmore. Nice 6-furlong sprint here on the dirt. As we take a look at the field, Mike, it's a wide open race. There's some big horses in here that have at least been either winning their last out or so close to doing so, and a rematch of some horses such as Tejano Twist, Happy as a Choice. And then you go kind of down the page a little bit further on the past performances. A lot of these horses have at least met once or twice throughout their careers.
Yeah, just a really, really strong field, really competitive race. I personally didn't think there was any standout in here. I just kind of feel like trips will probably be the deciding factor here, because I really thought even the horses that are the longest prices on the morning line, I think you could make cases for those horses in this spot.
And a lot that has to do with this field being so strong. $250,000 for a Grade 3 event. So Oaklawn Park certainly has the purse money to put it up. You can look here at the time form, U.S. pace projections. A fast pace is projected, not really shocking looking at the quality and the distance here, but it looks like the 6 Glengarry, he likes to go. I think the 4 Booth likes to go. Jackson Traveler, which is his stablemate, another horse that could be in the mix. There's a lot of horses that could be gunning for it early.
Yeah, I thought the pace would be pretty solid in here too. Glengarry, he's probably coming out running in this race. There are other horses besides the ones even that the pace projectors up there. Ashley, I don't know about you. I feel like the 9 Durante is plenty fast enough. If he catches a flyer at the start, this horse is going to be involved early in this race. This pace could get fast.
And the late pace flag is attached to the 1 Tejano Twist, who will kick things off for us here in this preview. We'll take a look at his most recent effort. It was a compact field. There were scratches there. But he's able to wing the King Cotton over Happy as a Choice, who he has to face again. And I just thought this was a great ride from Flavien Prat. We know that sometimes in the smaller fields, race riding and tactics can change, but he was patient. He came all the way up on the outside, and he's able to get the job done here pretty nicely to win by half a length. And this is the Tejano Twist that we know in the past. He's just a very hardy horse. He loves it down at Oaklawn. It was nice to see him get back in the winner's circle after having so many seconds down his past performances.
Just a really good horse. When you have a running style like the one that he has, you're going to have a lot of seconds on your card because he just always leaves himself with a lot to do. He's going to really want that pace projector we looked at to be 100% correct. He wants a fast pace to come after, but he always shows up. If he gets a clean run into any kind of a setup, he's going to be super dangerous in the late stages of this race, and you have to really take his chances seriously.
Now he's 7-2 on the morning line. Directly to his outside at 4-1 is Happy as a Choice, who we saw was the runner-up in that performance. And maybe you want to try to knock him. I think the one thing that he has going for him, though, compared to Tejano Twist, is what you talked about, the setup. I think a horse like Happy as a Choice, he wants to be a little bit more forward, and in theory, he should have less work to do late.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought he was a major player in here too. We just watched that replay of the King Khan, and you mentioned the great ride that Pratt gave Tejano Twist, and I agree with you there. And I thought that this horse received a terrible ride in that race. You can't, it's a 4-horse field. You have your main rival way behind you, and you're going 46 to the head. You can't just sit there and wait to the top of the stretch. He didn't even start riding Happy as a Choice until Tejano Twist got right up alongside of him. He didn't take advantage of what he had, the big advantage he had over his main rider there. His rider just didn't use it, and I think it really cost him at the end. This horse is a major player in here.
The 3 Giant Mischief for Brad Cox exits 2 back-to-back wins, 1 at Keeneland, 1 in New York. We'll take a look at the fall high weight in terms of his performance. I know when you look at the race at Keeneland, he made the front. He stayed in front, but a little bit different here. You can see him on the outside. He's going to draw along 2 of those other horses in here, and then he's just going to draw past them. He's almost a length clear when it's all said and done. His figures, he's consistently hitting those same numbers in the 90s, and curious to see what he'll do. His one trip at Oaklawn Park was the Rebel, different ball game, 2 turns. He didn't fare well, but they seem to have figured out that he really just needs to sprint.
Yeah, they tried to stretch him out and it didn't work out. He's a sprinter and he's a really good one. And he's just like, there's nothing flashy about him. Like when you watch his races, you're not going to be blown away. The one we just watched right there at Aqueduct last time, he didn't get away from those horses, but he was never losing. And it was just a strong hand ride there from Franco at the end. This horse is good and he can get the right kind of trip in this race.
The 4 Booth up next. Steve Asmussen, sends out several in here. We'll take a look at his performance last time out in the Commodore, and this is a lights out performance for him, by far a career best. He's now 4 for 8 in his career, and he doesn't usually go back to back in terms of what we've seen so far in front of wins. And just curious to get your thoughts, not only on this performance, Mike, but what's next for him? I mean, his figures increased dramatically off his last effort. It's a 105 here.
Yeah, at least he finally got past the 96 that he earned in his debut because it took him a while to do that. Listen, when he's good, he's really good. I mean, all four of his wins, he's been visually impressive.
Mhm.
I just feel like looking at this field that he's in against Ashley and off of that race that we just watched, he gets the big figure. He's 3-1 now on the morning line against this field. I hope he takes all that kind of money. I just wouldn't bet a nickel on this horse. He got absolutely loose on the lead last time without anybody challenging him. And I thought he took advantage. This race will be run totally differently.
Yeah, I think he'll have some rivals join him early. The 5 Jackson Travelers, his stablemate, who I'm a big fan of this horse. He just takes his show on the road time and time again. You can see his win streak now 4 in a row. But I think the big thing for him, even though he's been able to win this race, he won this race going back to last year. I just think he needs to step up. There are other horses with better recent form and figures at Oaklawn Park, and you can see the path that he's taken. The Remington Zia Sunland is just going to be softer than these others.
Yeah, and listen, more than anything else, he's just been a really well managed horse by Asmussen. He just finds the right race to run this horse in every time, and he's made it work. 13 wins, over $1 million. Good job for Asmussen. He can win here for sure, and he's going to be a fair price. So I'm not knocking him. Just never been a big fan. I wanted other horses in here.
The 6 Glengarry, we talked about this one likely being forward from the gate. And when you go back to, say, his 2-year-old season, I kind of fell in love with him. I thought he was so cool. And then you look at him since then, he just hasn't done a ton of running. We've only seen him 4 times now over the course of 2024 and 2025. And he came up short last time out behind Durante, who you mentioned is going to be a big price in here, draws the outside. And I'm just concerned that they're going to go faster. He's going to get hounded, and he's not going to have that late kick that he needs.
Yeah, I'm worried about that too. We're really worried about the dynamics with him. I obviously can't say that I love any of his 3 starts since he's come back off the layoff either. So, we'll see if he's finally ready to move forward, because it feels like he has it in him. I mean, he really did start off his career with a lot of potential, and he's a newly turned 4-year-old. He's very lightly raced, and he's got some talent.
The 7 Miles Ahead's been a fun horse to watch over the years as well. 14 for 35. Another horse that's a millionaire in the field, and he's done it the hard way. Was able to win his last out effort down at the fairgrounds, the Thanksgiving Classic, and a horse that I don't know as of late if he's picking up as many wins as he used to, but he is still firing those races, and I do wonder if the pace is hot. Could he get the right trip in here?
Yeah, he really could. And that his good race makes him a major player in here. And he's probably going to get overlooked a little bit, I would think. So we'll see what he does here. I couldn't talk myself into him, but, the more I looked at him, actually, you're right. He's got races on the go back that are make him really competitive in here. And he only got 3 starts in last year as an 8-year-old. So obviously things weren't going great for him. But when they did get him back to the races in November, he fired a pretty big shot.
The 8 closed the game sugar for Adam Rice in here, was 7th last time out in that race at Churchill, but that was back in the fall. We haven't seen this one since. Depending which version of him shows up, another horse, major contender. I mean, he was 2nd in the Grade 1 Bing Crosby behind the Chosen Brawn. You look at some of the horses that he was able to beat. He was able to beat Tejano Twist 4 starts back at Churchill, and a horse that I don't think needs the lead to win. Typically, he's sitting just off of it, chasing, and he's comfortable doing so.
Yeah, that was my takeaway too. Even that Bing Crosby that you mentioned there, they just sort of took him out of his style there because the horse to beat was the Chosen Brawn, so they had to go after him early. And it just didn't work out, but he's way more comfortable sitting just off the pace. I mean, listen, those 2 stakes wins at Churchill last summer, those were really strong performances from this horse. And then, you can go back and watch that last start there before the layoff. Something clearly went wrong with this horse. He didn't break sharply. And then by the time they got to the stretch, he was all done. And Irad just sort of wrapped up on him and let him fall back out of contention in there. He's way better than that. He's just got to be ready off the layoff.
And then rounding out the field is the number 9 Durante for David Jacobson, who also owns this one, was able to win last time out, beat Glengarry, got a sweet trip in that spot, just kind of stalking Glengarry, was able to motor past him. And a horse that when he wins, he can be very effective. He is another one that might get a similar trip, sitting just off of it. But again, for me, it goes back to, can he kind of carry himself against this group? That remains to be seen at this point.
Yeah, he's another one. He's at his best when he's part of the pace, and they just didn't go that fast last time. I think they're going to go faster in here. He's pretty good on his best day, and he's going to be a big price in this race, but it's going to be harder for him to beat this field.
Okay, this is race number 10 of 11 this Saturday at Oaklawn Park, the Grade 3 Whitmore time for our top picks in here, and curious to see which directions we go. You'll go with the 8 in here, Close the Game Sugar, who we haven't seen in a bit, but this is a horse that we talked about was holding his own against very tough competition.
Yeah, I'm just going to give him a chance here to be ready off the layoff. I just felt like he could be a fair price in this race, and I think his good race is good enough. So I'll take a shot with him. I went sort of back and forth between the 8 and the 3. I settled on the 8.
And I'll go with the 1 Tejano Twist, who is going to have his work cut out for him. Obviously, he will be further back than a lot of these horses, including the 8 Close the Game Sugar early on. But I'm hoping horses like Booth, they're involved early. Glenn Gary, and that maybe the fractions here are hot enough that Tejano Twist can get the perfect setup. But we'll find out on Saturday. 8312 for Mike. It's 1432 for me. It's the Whitmore this Saturday at Oaklawn. Good luck.